noted? So note it down. Okay, differences between osmosis and diffusion. Is it clear? And as we are starting the work today, so put today's date and whatever we will be discussing, keep noting the things nicely. Do not leave anything. Is it clear? So I'm telling what is the difference between diffusion and osmosis. Okay, so diffusion is the movement of solid, liquid, and gas molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, but the osmosis is the movement of water molecules. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, now second difference, what is it? The diffusion does not involve the semi-permeable membrane in all cases. Okay, and the osmosis, semi-permeable membrane is involved. Okay, diffusion can occur in living and non-living system. दोनों सिस्टम में हमको डिफ्यूजन देखने को मिलता है because you know that when we are doing respiration, children, or the plant or any organism is doing the respiration, so that gas molecules are moving from one cell to the other by diffusion. So diffusion will occur in the living system also, as well as in the
Non-living.
non system. Is it very clear to everyone? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
now the other difference. Is it very clear to everyone? So how many differences
Yes,
you have
ma'am.
got? How many differences you have got?
3.
Three
Three.
differences. Three differences. Okay, so clear to you all. Now one more question was put up that which I gave, that what will happen if the animal cell is placed in the isotonic solution or hypertonic or hypotonic. So all the three I'll tell you. Okay, now if the animal cell, I gave the question which one? Adesha, can you say? What was
Ma'am,
my
the
question?
hypotonic.
Acha, I gave hypotonic. Okay, so in the hypotonic means what is that solution? Which solution will be called hypotonic? First tell me that. Who will tell?
Ma'am, solution having concentration less than the cell cytoplasm.
Less than the cell cytoplasm. Now अगर cytoplasm से कम है water का concentration in that hypotonic solution, तो you tell me now, if you are placing the cell in that solution, the water will go inside the cell or water will come out of the cell.
Out of the cell.
It
Ma'am,
will
out of
inside.
the
Ma'am,
cell.
inside.
Now think, children, quickly. Think now.
Ma'am, inside the cell.
It will move inside the cell. It will move inside the cell. So it means that the cell cytoplasm is having lesser concentration or higher concentration.
Ma'am, less concentration.
Okay. So the water from outside will start moving inside. So which type of osmosis will occur? Which
Endosmosis.
endosmosis. Is it clear? And if the cell is placed in the hypertonic solution, so then if the animal cell is placed in hypertonic solution, so what will happen?
Ma'am, water will go outside the cell.
Water will move out of the cell. So what type of osmosis we will call it?
Exhausmosis.
Exoosmosis.
Exosmosis. Okay. And if the animal cell is placed in the isotonic solution, so then what
Ma'am,
will
water
happen?
will not move.
No
No,
exchange of
Ma'am, it
water.
remains same.
no endosmosis and
Ma'am, nothing happen.
no endosmosis, no exosmosis. Isn't it? So no movement of the water will be seen if the animal cell is placed in the which solution?
Isotonic.
Isotonic.
Isotonic isotonic solution. Okay. So this was all about the animal cell which I have told last period, children. Now, if you place the plant cell, now in the animal cell, remember what will happen? The water will keep on moving out. अगर exosmosis हो रहा है, तो water will keep on moving out. So the plasma membrane will shrink. The plasma membrane will shrink.
Shrink.
So cell will also shrink. Huh. And if the water is moving inside the cell, so cell membrane or the cell will become turgid. You can note down that word, children, turgid. 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 Written, everyone? The cell will become turgid. In which case, the cell will become turgid, children?
Ma'am, I had a doubt.
Say.
Ma'am, I'm confused between hypertonic and hypotonic. Like in hypotonic, the outside water content is higher or lower?
Water is more outside.
Okay, ma'am.
Water content is more. Solute content is less. Okay, you have to see the concentration of both. Just try to understand. For example, you take a glass of water. Okay, two glasses we have taken. In one glass of water, you are adding 2 spoons of sugar. Suppose this is the A glass. And in B glass, you are adding 4 spoons of sugar. The glass of water is same, amount of water is same, but in one you are adding 2 spoons of sugar, other you are adding 4 spoons of sugar. Now tell me, in which one the concentration, or which solution you will call it as concentrated, and which one you call it as dilute? Two terms you remember, children. One you call it as concentrated, another one we call it as dilute. Okay, dilute will be that solution which will have more solvent. More solvent. Solute less. And solute, in our case, what example we are taking, the solute will be the sugar and water will be the solvent. Is it clear to everyone listening carefully? Okay, so two things you have to see. Now, so dilute solution will be which one in these two glasses, A and B?
Ma'am, the glass A.
Glass A. Why?
Ma'am, because water content is more.
Water content is more. Okay, because in the other one, in the B class, we have added 4 spoons of sugar. So solute content is more, or concentration will be more. So water concentration will go down. So which one you will call it as hypertonic, and which one you will call it as hypotonic?
Glass A hypotonic and glass B hypertonic.
So you are considering, when you are saying hypo and hyper, you are considering the concentration of the solute. You are considering the
Concentration of solute.
solute. Is it clear? तो अगर solute ज्यादा है तो solvent कम हो जाएगा. Is it very clear?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
hypotonic solution will be which one?
Ma'am, hypertonic or hypotonic?
Hypotonic.
Okay, ma'am. The
हाँ
sol where the solute is more. No, ma'am, less.
solute is less.
Solute
So
is less.
solute is less. So water will be
More.
more, and hypertonic will be which one?
Ma'am, where the solute is more and water is less.
So if you are keeping the cell in the hypertonic, so it is having water less. So
Yes,
what
ma'am.
will be, what will happen now from inside the cell? The
Outside, the
water
water
will
will move outside.
move outside. This should be very clear, children. इसमें confusion होता है. So try to understand the things. It's clear to everyone, each and every, because many indirect questions will be asked, children. Okay, direct हम कभी नहीं पूछेंगे what is hypotonic, define this, define that. No, it will not be asked in the exam. Okay, so understand the concept, understand the what is actually hypotonic and what is hypertonic. So in both terms, you remember the concentration of solute and concentration of solvent. Is that clear? So hypertonic meaning more solute. Hypertonic meaning
More solute,
and hypotonic meaning
less solute.
less solute. Is it clear? And if you say less solute means solvent more. Okay, and when you say more solute meaning solvent less.
Less.
And remember, when you talk in any living system, when I say living system, children, means living organisms. Is it clear? When I say living system, meaning living organisms. So in all living organisms, there is only one solvent. What is that one solvent?
Ma'am, what?
Water. Okay, we don't drink any other solvent. Isn't it? The plants and animals, all living organisms are consuming what?
Water.
Water only. Okay. So Rudraksh, are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Udit Jain, I would like to see you all. Udit, Mudit, Udit and Mudit, switch on your camera. Quick now. Rudraksh left. Some problem is there. Okay, again joined. Udit and Mudit, I would like to see you all. Okay, so this was all about the three types of solutions and osmosis. Okay, how the movement of the water will be controlled by the concentration of the solution outside the cell. Is it clear? So this is very important because in all living bodies, children, these processes are going on. Is it clear? The diffusion of gas is going on, the osmosis is going on because all the nutrients are being transported from one cell to the other, in the animal case through the plant. Okay, and in the plant case through the water. Is it clear? Because the roots will absorb the water और इसी water में तो सारे minerals dissolve होते हैं, उसका concentration तो कुछ specific होगा, isn't it? So one cell से other cell में that movement is going on and that will be controlled by the concentration. Will be controlled by the concentration. And the process involved is which one? Which process is involved in this transport? Both transport. What are the two processes involved in the membrane transport? Give me the
Ma'am,
answer. This we started. Osmosis
osmosis.
and
Diffusion,
And
Diffusion.
cytosis.
Diffusion.
Cytosis.
Cytosis.
glycolysis. Okay, so two to we have covered up. Now I was discussing quickly that was the plant cell. What will be the behavior of the plant cell if you place the plant cell in three different solutions? Okay, so now before starting with that, I would like you all to see the video. Okay, so I'm presenting my screen, children. So try to see the video very carefully and I'll be asking the questions at the end.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes, say.
ma'am, can you explain cytosis once again?
Cytosis I have not taken only. Cytosis I'll explain you. Okay, just now we are doing only the two, the diffusion and osmosis. So try to see first this
Yes.
video, then
Ma'am,
I'll pick up the processes.
ma'am,
Yes, 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 say.
ma'am, you gave that the question classify the solution on the basis of concentration. What is the answer for the question?
The three types of solutions only, the hypertonic solution, hypotonic solution, and isotonic solution. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm showing you some videos, try to see it. My screen is visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are doing membrane transport. What we are doing? What do you
Membrane
add
Membrane
in,
transport.
trans.
children? And what are the processes involved in the membrane transport?
Mechanism of osmosis. Osmosis is a process during which water is passively transported through a semi-permeable membrane between cells and tissues. It will move from an area where it is more highly concentrated to an area of lower concentration. Because they are very small water molecules, which are polar, can move freely across the cell membrane. This diffusion of water molecules across a membrane is the process of osmosis. During osmosis, the movement of water will continue until equilibrium of the concentrations is achieved. Let's conduct a simple experiment to demonstrate how molecules move across a concentration gradient. We'll begin by placing a semi-permeable membrane into a large beaker filled with water. The water will be able to move freely across the membrane. Next, we'll add urea to the water on the right side of the membrane. It will not cross the membrane for two reasons. Its molecules are polar and they are larger than water molecules. Their polar nature will cause the molecules of urea to combine with the water, ultimately reducing the number of free water molecules. This will mean the left-hand side now has more free water molecules than the right-hand side. The water from the left will begin moving across the membrane to the right, where the urea is present. As a result of this movement, we'll see a slight increase in the water level on the right and a drop in the level on the left. The right-hand side, now having water and a solute, in this case urea, will have a higher concentration and is described as being hypertonic. The left-hand side of the membrane, where only water molecules are present, will have a lower concentration and is described as being hypotonic. In plant cells, the process of osmosis may cause either turgidity or plasmolysis. If a plant cell is in an environment with a higher concentration of water and a lower concentration of solute than what is in the cytoplasm, then water from outside will move into the cell through this process of osmosis. The cell will swell, causing turgidity. This phenomenon is known as endosmosis. If a plant cell is placed in a hypotonic environment, a solution with a lower concentration of water than the cytoplasm, then water will move from inside the cell to the outside through osmosis. The cell will shrink away from the cell wall. This phenomenon is known as plasmolysis. Summary: osmosis is the process through which water moves between cells from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Endosmosis causes turgidity in plant cells. In plant cells, exosmosis results in plasmolysis.
So how many students have understood what is turgidity, or when the cell will become turgid? Can anyone give the answer when the cell will become turgid? Speak up, children.
Because
When
of
the cell will become
endosmosis.
turgid? Whe- because of endosmosis. And what is endosmosis?
When water from
Rudraksh,
outside
what is
moves
endosmosis?
inside the cell.
Movement of water
Haan,
inside the cell.
haan. Inside the cell is endosmosis. So target meaning what? The target meaning what? That inside pressure will be more. Is it clear? The inside content pressure will be more on the cell membrane. So that we call it as the target cell. And the phenomenon will be called as the turgidity. Okay, and what will happen if the exosmosis occurs in the plant cell? Can you all say?
Ma'am, the cell membrane will
Who will
shrink.
give me the answer? The cell membrane will shrink, whole content will come to one corner. And what is that phenomenon called? What is that
Plasmolysis.
phenomenon called? Plasmolysis. Is it clear?
Plasmolysis.
The plant. So that only I wanted, that plant cell will behave in two different ways if it is placed in the two different solutions. If it is placed in hypertonic solution, so what will be the result? If the plant cell is placed in hypertonic solution, so what will be the result? Speak up quickly, children. Still confusion is there, children.
When the cell shrinks,
Cell will shrink. So what is the phenomenon? इसको हम क्या बोलते
plasmolysis.
हैं? Plasmolysis. Okay, and if the cell is placed in the hypotonic solution, so then
It will swell up. Ma'am, it will fill up with water and burst.
burst. In which case, but the plant cell will not burst. Now tell me why it will not burst.
Ma'am, because
Ma'am,
it
because of
has
cell
cell
wall.
wall.
Because of the cell wall, this bursting will not occur in the case of plant cell. Okay, तो what you'll call such cell? वो swell तो हो रहा है, लेकिन वो bursting नहीं हो रही. So what you'll call that cell?
Target cell.
Target cell. Very good. So remember these terms, children. And I hope now the three solutions are very clear to you. Okay, in the video just now, they were showing the water molecules. Now my question, they were showing one red sphere, with that two small white spheres were there attached. Why like that they have drawn? Can anyone?
Ma'am, two oxygen molecule. Ma'am, two
Right. So
hydrogen.
a hydrogen. Okay, two hydrogen, and one red one was which one?
Ma'am, oxygen.
हाँ तो दो उसके साथ जो white उनने दिखा दिए थे, so that way. Now try to notice the videos very carefully, children. They take into consideration each and every minute thing also. Okay, ऐसा नहीं कि कुछ भी गोल बना के उन्होंने बता दिया है. So they are showing you the water molecule. Okay, which that is H2O, two hydrogen and one oxygen. So how it was going inside? So that was the osmosis, two types of osmosis. Now I'll show you one more video. Okay, so try to understand that. What are the components of the plasma membrane? Quickly tell me. We have done the structure of the plasma
Ma'am,
membrane. We have
nucleus, cell wall, cytoplasm.
oh,
Ma'am,
completely
lipids and proteins.
plasma membrane. Yeah, yeah. Again,
Lipids and proteins.
lipids and proteins are there. Okay. And how many layers?
Three.
Three layers
Ma'am,
are
three
there.
layers.
Which, so outside the two layers are the
Lipid layers.
no, between the two protein the lipid layers are there. ओके बाहर के दो लेयर्स प्रोटीन के हैं और दो प्रोटीन लेयर के बीच में देयर इज अ लिपिड bilayer. Okay, so now try to see this video.
Cell membrane. The cell membrane, sometimes known as the plasma membrane, is a thin, semi-permeable biological membrane surrounding the cytoplasm in the cells of plants, animals, prokaryotes, and fungi. It separates a cell's interior from the outside environment, provides protection for the cell, and helps maintain its shape by offering structural support. This membrane is composed of lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. It appears as a fluid mosaic structure in which the phospholipids form a thin, flexible sheet. Proteins float within the sheet, and carbohydrates extend out from the proteins. Within the bilayer, phospholipids are arranged in such a way that their hydrophilic phosphate heads face out from the cell membrane, while the tails of hydrophobic fatty acid face one another in the middle of the bilayer. The phospholipids have non-polar tails.
Now try to understand, children, the proteins and the lipids how they are arranged. So this structure you have to draw. Okay, the figure I was talking about, so I'll be sending you this figure only. Okay, it is a 3D figure, but for you, you will be able to draw the other figure I'll be sending. So proteins, two types you are finding. ओके दीज रेड कलर स्ट्रक्चर्स आर द प्रोटीन्स और उनके बीच में आपको दो लेयर्स में अरेंज्ड है दैट इज व्हाई वी आर सेइंग लिपिड bilayer and these lipid molecules they are the phospholipids. Why you are calling it as phospholipids, children? Because with these lipid molecules the phosphate is attached, so you call it as phospholipids. Okay, and what is the structure of the phospholipid molecule? This diagram is showing you. Okay, it is having the head. This spherical yellow colored is the head, and these are the two tails. We call it as tail. Is it clear? So the tails are hydrophobic. Phobic word is coming from children phobia. Phobia means fear. Okay, and the heads are hydrophilic. So word try to hydro meaning you know water. Okay, and philic meaning philly word. The philic word is derived from philly. Philly means love. Okay, so the head is water loving. The tails are water fearing. So that's why you find that the tails are facing towards each other. So you can see in this part. Can you see my cursor, children? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ सो द टेल्स आर ऑल फेसिंग ईच अदर देखो टेल्स बीच में आ गए हैं वो बाहर की तरफ नहीं है but the head of the lipid molecule that is the phospholipid molecules are facing outside. Okay, and then proteins you are finding two types are there. This is one protein which is outside only. फिर ये एक प्रोटीन देख रहे हो आप that this is crossing the lipid membrane. ये लिपिड मेम्ब्रेन के बीच से पूरा बाहर से अंदर तक है. Is it clear? So it is forming a channel. It is forming a channel. And these are the proteins which help in the membrane transport. Okay, so these proteins are known as intrinsic protein. What are they called? What are they called, children? Intrinsic. They are known as intrinsic protein. You can write down, children, proteins. What are the two types of proteins which are present in the plasma membrane? They are intrinsic proteins, and the other one extrinsic. So intrinsic protein you try to understand, children, which is present in the lipid layer. Okay, and extrinsic protein. Okay, extrinsic protein, they are present outside only. Will you note down? Will you see my screen, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, noted everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ah, intrinsic protein only we call it as carrier protein. What are they known as? What are they known as?
Carrier protein.
Why you're calling carrier proteins? Because they will be carrying the substances, okay, and help in transport. So they are the carrier proteins. Okay, so done everyone. These are all important. I can ask you for MCQs, children. Okay, so each and everything you keep noting in your notebook. Okay, so now the in this one is extrinsic. My cursor is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. हाँ,
Yes, ma'am.
जो बाहर वाला प्लस है वो एक्सट्रिंसिक हो गया, जो अंदर से पूरा क्रॉस होके एक लेयर से दूसरे लेयर तक अंदर तक पहुंच गया, दैट इज द कैरियर प्रोटीन और इंट्रिंसिक प्रोटीन हेल्पिंग इन द ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ सब्सटेंसेस. सो विच सब्सटेंसेस, चिल्ड्रन? देखो, जो वाटर सॉल्युबल सब्सटेंस, वाटर सॉल्युबल या फैट सॉल्युबल नहीं है, ओके, जो फैट सॉल्युबल है वो तो इधर से पूरा फैट लेयर को क्रॉस करके आ जाएंगे, लेकिन जो फैट सॉल्युबल नहीं है, दे विल बी क्रॉसिंग द प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन थ्रू दिस कैरियर प्रोटीन. ओके, ऑल हैव अंडरस्टूड? यस और नो? हाँ, ओके. So noted the things. So how many layers are there? How many layers are there?
Ma'am, 3 layers.
Three layers. The first one is the upper one, and the lower one is which one? Protein layer.
Protein.
Between the two protein layer, what is present?
Lipid bilayer.
Lipid bilayer. Lipid bilayer is made up of
Ma'am,
made up
phospholipid.
of phospholipid
Phospholipids.
molecules. Okay, the molecules are having the head, which is
Phobic.
which is no, head is hydrophilic and tail is hydrophobic. इसलिए तो वो बाहर से दूर है.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tail is a hydrophobic and head is hydrophilic. So they are facing like this. Done na? So this structure is known as the fluid mosaic model. What is it called, children? You note down. Okay, which structure you are studying of the plasma membrane? Fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. This is known as the fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane, which is accepted because many explanations have been given for the structure of the plasma membrane, but the most accepted one is which one? The fluid mosaic model. So you are studying the fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. अपन फ्लूइड मोजाइक इसको इसलिए बोल रहे हैं क्योंकि लिपिड को बोला फ्लूइड, उसमें प्रोटीन्स एम्बेडेड है. okay, like a mosaic. Okay, so now it's 45 children. Just see this video and we'll end up the class.
Preventing polar molecules or ions, such as water soluble substances, from passing through them. Proteins comprise roughly 50% of the membrane's mass and are responsible for most of its properties. Many protein molecules act as transport proteins, providing channels for ions and polar molecules, which pass through the membrane. The protein molecules will regulate the movement of substances both in and out of the cell. Carbohydrates can be found on the outer surface of the cell membrane. They will attach to proteins and form glycoproteins and to phospholipids to form glycolipids. They will also assist the cell in identifying other cells of the body. The carbohydrates are short polysaccharides composed of a variety of monosaccharides, and they cover the membrane in a coating known as glycocalyx. This coating aids in protection and cell recognition. Summary: the cell membrane is a biological membrane surrounding the cell. The membrane is composed of lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. Phospholipids do not allow water-soluble substances through them. Protein molecules act as transport proteins and provide channels for ions and polar molecules. Carbohydrates cover the outside of the cell membrane as protective coating.
So you can note down, children, that some carbohydrates are there which are attached to the proteins and they form the covering. Okay, you can note down this thing. I'm stopping the sharing, children. We'll discuss whatever doubts you have in the next class. Is it clear? So now I want some students and questions I'll be sending in your group. Okay, so Udit and Mudit will switch on the camera and will do Shanti part. Quick.
Everyone, join your hands and close your eyes. Get ready for the Shanti part. Oh.